Hello, everyone. This is my first Google Hangout, and the title of this Hangout will be Automation. Today, we will be, since it's the first video of automation, we'll be going over the definition of automation and what it poses to the future of workers. I'm going to get my information ready. All right, let's see here. Please excuse me, this is my first time going live. So, working out the kinks. Okay. All right, just unplug and plug in my microphone again, see if that works. I can hear myself. All right. If I still hear the cracking, I'm gonna troubleshoot that as the show go along. I don't know what it is. Oh, I still hear it. Allow me to try one more time. All right. Hello. This is the test. Anyone hear me? Somebody tell me I should have troubleshooted this before I got on. Thought it would be smoother transition. It's still gonna go 2 hours. You know what? I need to restart my computer. I'm gonna see if that'll fix the problem itself. All right, hello. I am back online. Hopefully, whatever was wrong has fixed itself. All right, we are in business. Welcome to the YouTube channel. We will be talking about different subjects 3 days a week: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Although today is Tuesday, there was a little hiccup, so we will be resuming our normal schedule starting tomorrow. I said previously, today we will be talking about automation. I have a video for you all to look at and go over, but also today we will be talking about what is automation and what threats does it pose to the future of jobs in not only America but in the world. So let's get to it. First, we will be looking up the definition of automation. So let's see if I can do a share screen. Let's see how computer savvy I am, right? All right. Up. I think we have a new guest, Mike Vincent. Hello, how are you doing today? Let's see here, cameraman, screen share. There we go. Screen share. Don't get dizzy. Okay. Start screen share. All right. Automation. Per Google, automation is the use of largely automatic equipment in a system of manufacturing or other production processes. It's used in a sentence conveniently for this episode: unemployment due to the spread of automation. So, allow me to stop the screen share. Now, automation. Um, as you just read, automation is the large automatic equipment and basically in any economy, not only America, where it replaces menial jobs. Now, automation has been around for quite some time, basically in a dumb machine, quite in a dumb machine sense. To give an example, in the mid to late 1800s, quite a percentage of America's economy labor force worked on farms. But since the advent of farm equipment at that time, it cut down on labor. So more and more people were cut out of the labor force. A more recent explanation is ATM machines. ATM machines, no people no longer needed to go into the bank to see a teller. They can just go to the ATM machine, put their debit card in, or even credit card, and get the money they needed. Now, Mike, I don't know if you're speaking. I can't hear you. Maybe I got something wrong.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, gotcha. I'm I just want to make sure that I got everything right. I can hear you perfect, perfect, perfect. Now,
Okay.
with those definitions of automation, those machines that took over the lesser jobs were more of dumb machines. They were not learning learning machines where they can continuously learn. The I recently saw where the debate was that in the past, even though automation took over jobs, human beings still created more jobs to employ themselves, which is a very valid point. The conundrum is in the future, machines are going to start to get smarter and smarter and smarter. The population is going to continue to boom, albeit to a certain number, but can humans create enough jobs to sustain themselves with the more with the continuous onslaught of smart machines, smart learning machines? That is the question that we're going to face in the future. Now, I don't know if you all saw a video by BGS. Forgot the title. I'm going to paraphrase. Living with Automation. He described that in the future, what some experts are thinking automation will be doing is, to give you an example, nursing is a revolving door job. You can almost always find a job in the nursing field, but with the onslaught of automation, what's going to happen is jobs are not going to hire nurses at the same rate they have in the past. And the jobs that are there, what's going to happen? Excuse me. What's going to happen is the people who hold the nursing jobs, they're not going to get paid more, but they're going to start to have more job duties. They're going to be stretched thin. And if they don't want the job, they can quit, but the business will not be hiring more people. So if I don't know if you want to add in on what I everything I just said, Mike.
You're in the right direction, and I think there's a difference between automation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So, your description of automation in terms of the ATM, it makes sense. In terms of machine learning, you already have machine learning on your phones and on your laptops and your desktops and things like that. So basically, Amazon saw that you picked out one book or you looked at one book, so they're going to offer you other things in conjunction to that book. Even on YouTube, you have videos recommended in your sidebar that basically say, because you looked at a BGS video, you should probably look at these other videos that are part of the IdMore community. So that's the machine learning aspect. And your artificial intelligence aspect is what takes over the human element, from a production standpoint. So like your level 5, level 4, level 3 autonomous vehicles. That's where the artificial intelligence comes in. Or you look at something like IBM Watson, which is an artificial intelligence platform that can replace certain other humans that used to work in certain positions before, such as a collective of doctors or research analysts and things of that nature.
Okay, now my question to you is this: we all know, was people that are listening to this video know that automation has had a big effect on certain jobs in the past, and with the this new, you can say this new generation of automation, do you think it will create a bad a, a bad economic field for countries in the future?
It depends. If you're looking at it from a production standpoint where you're trying to mass produce products for consumption, then it may alleviate a lot of costs. So you may be able to produce more goods and get more work done more efficiently. Now, from a job standpoint, you're you're going to have displacement, right? But you're also going to have people who need to fix those machines. So there's always constant maintenance. I think like GM and some of the other auto manufacturers, um, they shut down for like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year just for just for maintenance on the cobots and the robots and the facility itself.
Hmm. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. I, I, to be honest, I agree with what you're saying, but there's a certain point where you can't just hire more people to fix these machines. There's a limit to the number of people you can hire to fix these machines, unless you humans create more companies to build more machines and then hire more people.
I agree with you on that.
So,
I think you're in the right direction on that.
so that it's almost like that's the catch. That's the catch. Now, with this, since we're talking about automation now, and we see the wave in the future,
Hmm.
what can humans do in terms of going to the right field, studying the right things, going to college and learning the right things, or if they don't want to go down that road, what what can they do to set themselves up to not be financially crippled by automation? If they don't want to go the route of, well, that's a two-part question. What subjects can they learn if they want to go the route of learning how to fix the machines or even build the machines? And B, what route can they go if they don't want to go through route A?
There's not really much you can do about that, right? So the job displacement is almost evolutionary with the design of automation itself. So if you're going to try to avoid being replaced by a piece of code or a physical robot, you have to engage in the sciences.
Mhm.
So STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. You have to engage in some form of STEM. But even I'm hearing an echo in the background. I'm not sure if that's you or me.
That's probably me. I'll try. I'll try to fix it while you're speaking.
Yeah, in terms of the STEM, and I'm going to speak from a black male perspective. I think that more black men need to get into more code and more robotics. Um, those are Those are pretty much fields that you need to study and know in order to maintain some form of job security. Um, Anything less than STEM, you're going to find yourself in a situation you can't get yourself out of.
No, the marine biology of sharks in the Atlantic Ocean compared to the Indian Ocean studies. Those are basically dead end fields.
They are and they aren't, right? Because not every nation is going to be um, fully automated or have an automated process in place, right? So in places like let's say Kenya or even Egypt for that matter, or Madagascar, those places are not going to be automated anytime soon, right? They're not gonna suffer from the consequences of automation.
Okay. Uh, just talking about automation now, it's going to be a pretty grim working field in terms of what kind of jobs a person can get in order to sustain a good lifestyle in the future. Just from my
Hmm.
standpoint right now, although I am making this channel for us to go over it, not only just talk about it, but to think, okay, what can we do to combat this and give people information that are listening to this in the future, give real world um, solutions. Like you just said, going to the fields. Now, which STEM fields? Because I'm thinking they're all the same. Even I know they're wrong, but what area in STEM
So, which areas in STEM would you recommend, or which areas of STEM are we referring to?
would you recommend?
So, from a STEM standpoint, information systems is going to be huge. It's going to be critical. Right now there's a huge shortage in just in America alone for cybersecurity people. Just not enough people to go around. Um, which is why it's such a lucrative field in the first place because they're willing to pay. Um, The other aspect would be, in my opinion, space research, as well as well, I should say aerospace, but as well as space research, environmental science. Um, right now, there's a water crisis in Africa. Uh, Droughts all throughout the continent. Places like Sudan are facing major crisis in terms of or crises in terms of water shortage. They're talking about desertification. So you're talking about lands that used to grow crops are now overrun by sand, and they can't find enough places to actually to grow crops in order to survive. So they're guesstimating in the next maybe 50 to 60 years, if not 80 years, Sudan may be unlivable.
Wow.
So I posted a link to this on another hangout for I think it was on the BGS. Basically, they had two brothers, Sudanese brothers, who took a drone, who built a robot from scratch, for irrigation purposes in Sudan, and they use global positioning systems to map out the whole country and where you're having these droughts and these desertifications, as well as places that they can irrigate as well, and they got top honors of that, I think, like last year.
That's amazing. Now,
and these are poor people.
Now you said space science, and what was the first field you mentioned? So cybersecurity.
Information systems. Yep, information systems, cybersecurity.
Information systems and cybersecurity. All right.
Yep.
Now we have a new guest, Loadcast. Thank you for joining the Hangout Loadcast. This is more of me interviewing the people that know more about these fields, because I'm a novice. So I'm going to be interviewing you, picking your brain. You're free to speak however much you want on this subject.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mike, for also giving me a heads up. I really appreciate it.
Now, what do you think of the topic so far?
All right, the topic so far is I don't even know where to start. I had just got into it, but I did look into the V2V that Mike was telling me about, and it seemed a little straightforward. Basically, when it comes down to us as men, especially black men, we have to get into robotics. It's a necessity because robotics is the future. Any form that it comes in the form of artificial intelligence or just machine learning, which is pretty much the same. I would say the beautiful thing about it is that you can get in at the ground level starting right now. It wouldn't cost, you would probably only have to invest, if anything, no more than about $100 to even get yourself started.
Hey, Locas, I don't mean to interrupt you. Can you give them a bit of your background on terms of the 3D printing and whatnot?
Yes.
All right. Well, the thing is, dude, I'm more what some people will call a hacker.
Okay.
I don't do the ethical thing. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not that type. I'm a tinkerer. I've been doing this for a very long time. I work in maintenance as my profession. But what I did recently, it's one of those things. I had this urge to just start, working on. I needed a CNC machine, and I was looking for something that was multi-purpose. So I started working on my own.
Now, what's a CNC machine?
And don't ask me. I forgot what CNC, but CNC is actually just a lot of your basic. Well, I would say excuse me, back up. Are you familiar with 3D printers?
Yes.
That's an example of a CNC machine.
Okay.
Most of what you see nowadays in basically, like, if you ever watched like you ever see like the automation arms or robotic arms and stuff, those are CNCs as well. I can't remember what exactly it stands for, number calculation something, but basically what it is that many cases that you're using using some type of enumeration system, either be on a servo or you're doing some type of dial-in calculations, be it stepper motors.
Okay, computer numeric control.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Part of what it goes, that really derives into the G code, or if you ever look at any G code programming. Are you familiar with that a little bit, Mike? G code programming. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay. If you ever look at G code programming, it's just a bunch of numbers basically.
Okay.
With a few letters with a few letter symbols. Like I said, I've been doing this stuff for like I've been doing this stuff off and on. I'm a natural person at doing this stuff. I'm a quick learner at this type of things. It's just when it came down to career wise, like some brothers, you run into those hang-ups. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started building my own CNC machine. Like I told Mike, eventually when I get a chance to, I'll start posting some stuff. What I did was I purchased a 3D printer just so I could print out some of the parts that I didn't have before.
Now, is that a smooth process? Can anyone do that? 3D printing from home?
Yeah, you can do some 3D printing. 3D printing is I would say at this point, I got a gut feeling that everybody's gonna have at least one or somewhere between 1 to 3 in the house in about 20 years, if that long.
Really? Okay. Okay. Now you say that when you say 1 to 2 in the house, as if they're
No,
going to
one
be
to three
one to
machines in the
three.
home. Yeah.
Now, currently, people have 1 to 3 TVs. You know,
Mhm.
they're going to be as popular as televisions in the house. Now, what would people need to print? Like, expand our imagination for the people that are listening to this. What will
Okay.
we need to print?
Well, see, the thing about it is, all right. First of all, it's based on it's nothing more than layer printing.
Hmm.
Okay, you basically what you're doing, you're just stacking a bunch of thin layers on top of each other. See, the thing about it is, the reason why I said you would probably have 1 to 3, and it'd probably be in everybody's household on a standard basis. I mean, homes a standard basis, because look what's happening in the country. The country actually is on a major decline. Okay, and I've noticed one thing about this system, if you look through its history itself, is that every time it goes into a decline, resources get thinner. They get more because things get more creative.
Hmm.
So imagine instead of you needing a plastic bottle in the future, right? You have to print your own. Just giving you as a hypothetical idea. Now, the reason why I was saying you would probably have the reason why I said you would probably have 1 to 3 in the home, meaning that you probably have one in the kitchen that would probably print things like bottles, plastic, plasticware, material, basic sanitized home materials that you would probably use for consumption, use during consumption. Um, like I was saying, you would probably have one, probably like let's say like maybe in your like in your garage, you might use that one to print out maybe a knob or something, hypothetically speaking.
Okay.
Maybe like a new door piece or something that broke that needed to be quickly repaired. The reason why I'm saying that is because we grew up in an era. I don't know how old you guys are, but I grew up in an era where glass bottles were quite common.
Yes.
Tell me how many things can you find now in the grocery store that are used
Mm.
for making glass? Most of us don't notice that anymore.
Not much. I know Snapple transitioned from glass to plastic. Also.
Pretty much everything transitioned to glass. That's because of the resource. It's not because plastic became more usable because things move on in time and plastic and materials like that became harder and harder to produce because more and more when it comes down to production. If you look nowadays, you're starting to see less and less aluminum. I don't know if people are really noticing that, but I do notice things like that. Those type of resources are slowly being usurped. They go to
Wow.
recycling companies, they don't come back. You kind
Where
of get
do,
what I'm saying?
where
Hello?
where do they go?
Well, I would say this is where they usually go. They go back into more useful. They go back into like more useful things like building vehicles, building cars, building homes,
Mm.
things like that. They just become less and less scarce. I guess would say for general purpose using.
Okay. So you're saying in the future people will have between 1 and 3 um 3D printers just printing normal household things and things that can be replaced.
Yeah.
Now, are these things sturdy? Are the products that are being printed sturdy, or will it be a case in the beginning where okay, you print it out knowing it may break in a couple weeks?
Actually, that depends. That could depend. Most of the stuff that I build is quite sturdy. That depends on how it's designed, or
Mm.
how the thickness of it is, or how basically how the structure is designed makes it sturdy. Most 3D printers is sturdy. Another reason why I was saying you would probably see one because you can also print aluminum. You can also print aluminum objects, metal objects as well with a 3D printer.
Okay, now Mike, let me ask you this: with the 3D printing, can one? Do you believe one can make a living in the beginning of the 3D printing revolution? Make a living printing objects.
Absolutely. That's a it's such a niche factor market that's in demand right now. Um, it's only so many places that actually have the expertise to actually have 3D printing. Look at FedEx Kinko's, right? They're heavy into printing, but they haven't really gotten into the whole 3D printing thing. So where do you go? Who are you gonna talk to? And you have people like Lowcast who are getting into it right now. Um, who has a better knowledge of it, far greater than that of the people at FedEx Kinko's, or any other top tier distributions.
Now, Lowcast, what since we are in agreement that people can make a living printing 3D objects in the beginning of the 3D printing revolution, what things can people print? Ideally,
You can also print homes as well.
Well, okay, now you just blew my mind. You have to.
You can print homes. What you do is like, you got to understand. See, like I said, it goes back to what you see and see. Please help me with the acronym again. But the thing is, that's nothing more than the system itself. That's basically just the system itself. But the thing is, from that point, it's all about it's about head changing, what type of head that you want to use, or what type of basically what any type of head you want to use. Like for example, you have like the laser cutters or the laser etching systems. They're all CNC. It's all about just changing the type of head that you want to use. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like for example, you look at the robotic arms. That's one form of CNC, but they all do the same thing.
Uh-huh.
It's all about the type of head that you want to use and what are you programming it to do. Based on the type or based on the design. It's kind of like saying, I guess the easy way to look at it is that the best way to look at it is keep in mind that don't let yourself get confused by seeing the different types. You get what I'm saying? Like for example, you might see an arm. Well, better yet, give you another example of CNC also. Well, robotics, actual humanoid type designs. That's also the control system itself is CNC. You get what I'm saying?
Now I'm starting to visualize what the picture you're painting.
So the basic thing is that all you're really doing is just really the real trick is to understand what CNC is, that you're basically sending commands to where to start and where to stop and where to start. That's all you're really doing.
Okay. Now, with this 3D printing, let's segue into jobs. The threat of automation to a country's workforce. Now, like I said in the past, even though automation has been around for a number of years, decades, the human race has been able to create more jobs to employ themselves.
Well, personally, I think this here. I think first of all, we need to understand is that the paradigm is changing, and that you got to understand one thing about human beings. We also adapt as well. I do believe that you will probably have less people being born in the future. In other words, keep in mind. I mean, this is let's not be fooled. Some of this stuff, is intentional.
Yes.
And a lot of the stuff also is going to have some ramifications as well. You're going to have less people being born, but you at the same time think about it. You also have a lot of wealth that's been usurped as well.
True.
When it comes down to land and things like this, people own that stuff. What are they going to use it for? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So my prediction really is that I think on average, maybe you would probably have on average, maybe someone having maybe one child per family on average.
Wow, they're not even
0 to no children, I would say.
Wow, they're at that rate, we won't be reduplicating ourselves. You need a minimum 2 to recreate yourself.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that because of I'm just giving you an idea. Keep in mind, right now, I think what is it, about 6 billion people on the planet?
Somewhere around up there.
It's some people's belief that this planet is not able to sustain this many people, and what they mean by that is the fact of the matter of the resources. It's kind of like imagining how many people are peeing in a pond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's too many people peeing in the pond. It's time to get out of the pond. You know what I'm saying? We can't have this many people in the pond. So it's kind of like that in a sense.
Now,
I do believe that it will open up. I do believe that you will also end up with more you probably have more exploring into like space and places like that as well, where you would need human more. You're going to need you would probably have more human bodies in places in those areas like space or place. I don't know, space exploration is what I'm trying to say.
so we're talking about a Netflix expanse situation.
Believe it or not, I think it's already here and we just don't know it.
Hmm. Okay.
I
Now,
would not keep in mind. Think about it. Think about this here for a minute to entertain some ideas.
okay, go ahead.
How do you think you would build a space system
In space.
in space at this point? You would probably use you probably use quite a few CNC machines, or
Hmm.
you would use a bunch of automated arms. You would build a structure like a base, like a frame, like a box, let's say like a CNC box for like a 3D printer, and you would probably have a bunch of arms and your robotic arms in and pulley systems designing a machine. Designing the ship.
Now, Mike, what do you think about this? About the clash between automation and jobs in the future?
It's a necessary part of the evolution, right? You don't really need as many people to do the work that you used to have, 100 years ago. You can look at BMW's mini factory, and there's a good video of it on YouTube. There are no human beings in the factory other than the people who put the labels on the hood in the trunk of the car.
Wow.
The whole place is automated, so they create that. The robots create a Mini Cooper every 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
Really?
It rolls off the assembly line.
Fully functional.
Fully functional. All tested and everything. And this is just BMW's Mini Cooper brand. The Mini brand. I mean, they're talking about other aspects of vehicles being built without any humans or beings at all. Not even to put a label on, because even an arm from a cobot can come by and just slap a label on there, put some adhesive on it, and it's done.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Another thing I would say is that you will have people will be probably more tech. A lot more people will be tech savvy. Not even tech savvy. It'll be tech necessity. It'll be common knowledge to have a child that knows how to program to some degree. It'll be quite knowledge for adults to be in some form of engineering. It's going to be quite. I think that's going to become secondhand. It's going to become common knowledge in the future.
Now,
Another company I like to talk about that I was really fascinated recently to see. I think I spoke to it about Mike. It's called Desktop Metals. They have their own robotic arms that actually print rocket boosters out of aluminum.
get out of here.
No, really. What they're doing is the same principle. It's the exact same principle as using the plastic 3D printers, where they use they use plastic filament, they extrude it onto the surface, and they'll just do like what they call stereolithography, where they'll just build it up layer by layer, layer by layer. Well, they were doing the same thing with aluminum, where they would take the aluminum and extrude the aluminum and actually melt it or smelt it with a laser, doing the same principle. Under the same principle. And they're able to build rocket boosters in three parts, put them together, and they work. Now, I do believe that in the future, you ever watch how, I'll give you an idea. It's amazing how I think some of us, you got to go back and understand, like when you watch Star Trek, how they show like stuff mesmerize, materializing, things like that. I think what you're seeing now is how to explain how those things were possible.
Okay.
How to make them possible. You've got companies nowadays who do have CNC machines. They're able to do 3 applications in one time. Able to manufacture manufacture the circuit board, print the plastic material, and configure it all back into one simple all into one simple package. For things like that. It's not. I would say is this like usually is this more like a channel directed towards mainly to towards blacks, towards black people, black Americans.
Yes, yes. It's going to end up being that way.
All right, cool. I apologize. I wasn't really prepared for
Oh,
like
no problem, no problem.
for black people, for actually for African Americans, especially for African American men. Um, it's definitely going to be a needed thing. I do see where we can benefit greatly from it, but I think that we're going to have to get more into construction. I think that we're going to have to, dare I say, start learning what other people have already, or what other people are doing. You know, most of what these people are doing is not hard. It's not complicated work. You know, it's just really how do you get a group of people to turn their attention from, like I say, dare I say, from the music studios to automation labs. You see what I'm saying? To
Yes.
building their own labs. No, in other words, instead of buying stereo equipment, buying audio equipment, start buying engineering equipment.
Now, Mike, I saw the video you sent. 3D print your cake when food becomes a part of art and science.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
that today too.
yeah,
That was interesting.
I'm going to leave a link to that in the description. Is that a mold or an actual edible cake?
It looks like an edible cake.
It was a mold that I saw. The one I saw that what they were using, what they were doing, were printing. I keep on. There's two different ways you can do this thing. Like I said, it's all about the type of tool that you want to use. Like either you can use some type of extruder that you can design for, like say for extruding, whatever type of material that's necessary, or cutting the material. The one that I seen, they were printing out like some type of I guess some type of they were printing out molds,
Hmm.
like kitchen molds. They were printing out kitchen molds, and they were actually using those like as a baking pans. But that's what I was talking about. Examples for like kitchen use, where
Okay.
you would print out the type of things that you need. Or let's say, for example, you might have a cake that needs to have the icing extruded in a cool design or something. Change the extruder head on it, instead of for icing, and have it to extrude the icing or design the cake, the icing around the cake, whatever how you want to do it, things like that. But that's what I was talking about, having one for the kitchen.
That
Another example too is also Apple's working on one for cooking, for home cooking, and it's programmed. It's supposed to be programmed for like different, for different. Let's say, for example, like you watch the show Iron Chef.
I'm familiar with it.
All right, imagine having settings based on professional cooks or professional cooks, professional cook recipes, where you have a system that's automated for cooking the same identical way as a professional would. But you
Okay.
would have a kitchen configured or set up for that type of print, for that type of cooking.
And I don't think you need to do is print it out.
No, you wouldn't print out your food. I mean, talking about actually cook for you,
I'm
where it
talking
has
about the
robotic arms cooking, flipping, flipping over stuff, flipping your items over and stirring.
yeah. I'm talking about the kitchen itself and the parts that are cooking, not actual food. I
Yeah,
wouldn't eat the food if it was printed out. No.
I don't think it would be that bad because there have been examples of printed food. It's not what you think.
Well,
It's not
well,
like Go ahead.
to your point, Locast. GE and Samsung are all already working on IoT devices for the kitchen. So you're
Okay.
talking about your microwaves, your convection ovens, your refrigerators that keep all the goods in there. They're all going to be connected on the internet, and they're all going to have some form of functionality of communicating with each other to actually produce meals for you, so to
Yeah,
speak.
all this stuff is actually here.
Yes,
There's
I'm just
Samsung
making a
has a
point.
smart fridge where you can order stuff from Amazon. Where you can order your items from Amazon. I don't. I'm just, personally, I have my fears about some of the things that people want to have hooked up to hooked up to the internet. But I get it. This is the new world that you're living in. You know.
Now there's some information out there, preliminary research, which is saying automation might actually shrink the middle class. So you'll have more of a schism between lower class and wealth.
Truth be told, to be really honest with you, I don't think we really have a middle class. I think that the middle class is not aware that it's actually part of the lower class at this point.
Mm. Well, that's
And
how
it's
we have.
just and it's really what you're looking at as a phasing out of the middle class.
Why we're having this discussion to be more proactive, to give people ideas who may listen to this now and in the future. Now, so far we have Mike spoke about the fields that a lot of black men should go into. And Locas, you did say you did put it stated very well that instead of buying studio equipment or even Michael Jordan shoes or anything that you don't need, you need to shift your mind frame from buying that to buying technical things that will help you
By the
compete in
way,
the future.
Nike's also working on one. To be able to print shoes. Could you imagine the future buying actually the RCNC machines that actually you have to go to some of these conventions, but I've seen them online where they can actually print the material. They can print like cloth like material. In fact,
Cloth like
cloth like
material.
material. Well, it's actually cloth. It's like like you keep in mind if you look at most of the materials that you purchase now, if you look at some of your clothing, they say they say like polyester, nylon, things
Hmm.
like that. All it is just thin fibers of plastic.
Or I see polyester blend and
Exactly. So it's already here, but imagine you just have a printer with a like let's say with a very fine extruder that prints it out to almost like a clothing bendable type material. But Nike is working on they're able to produce their own shoe prototypes courtesy of
mm.
3D printing.
Now I want to welcome Dollar Wheel. Tonight, Dollar Wheel, speaking of automation, so far we have defined what automation is and the potential problems it has with the labor market and what black men can do to position themselves to not be out of a job or SOL.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here, and I'll just kind of listen and see if I have anything to contribute. But are we is this private or live or
It's alive. It's
okay?
alive.
Good,
I created this channel to mimic the BGS Hangouts where the first few hours
great.
we'll normally talk about automation, economics slash cryptos, and oh my goodness, slipping my mind. What was the third topic, Mike? Slipping my mind.
Geopolitics.
Yes, geopolitics. So Mondays were I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I didn't realize that I created a new channel. You needed 24 hours. So Mondays is automation, Wednesdays is geopolitics, and Friday is economics.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt the flow, but
Oh, no problem, no
I'll
problem.
find if I find the channel link and feel that I need to duck out and lurk from that point, I'll do it. But go for it. I'll just check out get let me fall in with the conversation as y'all proceed.
Okay, all right. Now, Mike, you said that the STEM fields that a person can get into is information, cybersecurity, space science, and Locas, you were saying that at the beginning, 3D printing will be something big.
It's already something big. It's just
Mm.
you got to get on while it's still an open project where people are still working and building and coming up with new concepts. In
Now,
fact, it's about 6 years in already on the consumer end.
would anybody like to add any more fields, or just to try to expand the people that may listen to this minds of what they can do to be a part of this new revolution? Any more school fields or business fields or job fields?
Okay, I would tell people this here: if you want to get into like doing programming or anything, or learn how to do any of this stuff, most of the systems that you're seeing out here now, where people are purchasing 3D printers, they're working off a single microprocessor. Most of them working off the Atmel chipset. Also, some people know it as Arduino, but since I've been working with microcontrollers for a long time, I just know it directly by the chip number. It's by the chip manufacturer itself, and the chip manufacturer for most of this stuff is Atmel. But now Atmel's been purchased by Microchip. but you can still purchase the same microcontrollers. But what they'll do is they'll take them and they'll package them onto a single circuit board already pre-configured. Let me back up. Have you ever looked at a motherboard? You see all the different microchips. You see the different not microchips. You see all the different controllers and processors that are on the boards themselves.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, if I called Atmel up and told them I needed a certain type of processor, they're going to send me just that processor, no breadboard. Now, the cool thing about it, the breadboard is the actual circuit board itself. The green thing or the black material that is mounted on the surface of. Now, the cool thing about the Arduino, it's the same concept where, for example, you just buy the chip, but it comes as a single chip on a single board, on the board itself. So you're only able to work with that one chip. But now the cool thing about it is you can expand it out like into different other parts that you can pull it. You can plug parts together with it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like tech Legos, like a tech type Lego. Now
spread it out on the same board.
No, just on one board. In other words, let's say, for example, most people who use Arduino, they use a P328 chip, or they're using the ARM chip, which is I believe a 2650 chip. Now, if you want to buy those chips directly let's say from the manufacturer themselves, the company who manufactures them, if you purchase the chip, they would only sell you just the chip. But what good is the chip when you don't have a way to mount the chip? So what you do is you purchase the Arduino chips. Well, the Arduino certain breadboards that already have the chip on them. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm following.
Now the cool thing about it is you can get these chips if you order them online, often from China. You can get the Arduino board. You can get like a knockoff, which is just as good as the Arduino. Same stuff, because it's all what they call open source, meaning that someone actually has the configurations online. You can download the instructions, and you can download basically the schematics for them and build your own. Or you can send them off to someone that can print the boards for you and mount the chips on for you. But like I was saying, is that you can buy the chips, right? You can buy an Arduino board from China for as little as $2, or you can buy it from Arduino themselves for like $10 and $15. See what I'm saying? But like I said, I tell people, if you're gonna get into it now. I would tell your kids, look, if they like to get into programming and configuring, they want to learn how to do anything in engineering, buy Arduino, buy the Arduino chip kit, buy the Arduino kits. Learn how to program the chips. For some people that could be a little challenging, but learn how to program the chips. Buy a couple of LEDs, which are light emitting diodes or something, and experiment learning how to program patterns or program some type of matrix, light matrix with those type of things. With those at first, to get into programming, but those type of things. But like I was saying, is that most of the CNC machines that you buy now, 3D printers that you purchase, they already use those single chips. They're not using nothing complicated on the boards themselves. The boards are not complicated. Get what I'm saying? They're not a complicated design. It's just an Arduino, a customized Atmel chip using Arduino configurations. That's all it's doing. And I wish that more and more I wish a lot more black men would get into it and realize how simple this stuff is. It's nothing complicated. And I really wish there was more of us so that it wouldn't be so boring to just have to do it by yourself.
Yeah, that's the point of this. That's another point of this YouTube channel. I'll just start talk about things that black men usually do not talk about, to show other black men that, hey, there are black men that have an interest in this, and you can actually speak about it in public and to other black men.
You know what? Let me do you a favor, man. Show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I don't have no way of showing. Let me see here.
Let me see if I can.
No, I'll show you. If you look right here, you see the board down there?
Yes.
These right here, this is our Arduino board. This is one I got from China. You can pay $7 for them. Now you can buy them directly from Arduino. You'll pay like $50 for one. This right here is just a regular CNC. This is also a CNC board, also for a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? You can buy one of these. You can find the configurations online and just build your own 3D printer at home. it might cost you maybe to build your own, maybe about $200 at the most. But you can build them pretty cheaply. Now, some people like to spend a lot of money, spend $300, $400, even $1,000 to build one, but you can build them on your own. And back here, that's mine that I'm working on now.
Okay, so you put all of those chips in the 3D printer frame.
Well, not put them in the frame. What you do is you basically configure your board. See these two
Oh,
pieces?
okay,
These are two
okay.
pieces. Put them together, like I said, like Legos. Pop them together.
Okay,
Upload your program to them. You can go.
Okay.
You can find the source code online anywhere. You can upload the program to them. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, okay.
And if that doesn't work, if you need something customized, you can buy your own breadboards offline. You see what I'm saying? This is a basic breadboard. The same way you see this red one, the blue one.
Yes.
This is a bare board where I could actually buy my own stuff, and I could pop them in. I could buy my own components and build my own design if I needed one, something that was unique.
Okay,
You
okay.
get what I'm saying? And from that
Yes.
point, what you do is you would wire it in. I just call it simply wiring it in. You know, you wire them into your controllers. You control them. You wire them into your control boards, or you wire them into whatever it is that you want to use. You don't just pop it into the frame. It doesn't work that easily. But like, for example, here's the motors that I'm using. These right here are NEMA motors. These are step motors. These right here are like 200 something 80-ounce motors. I get something like 2 pounds of torque, between 2 to 5 pounds of torque out of these motors. These are very powerful motors. But like I said, it's not really hard work, man. It's just that sometimes you wish it was more African Americans to do it with, so you ain't got to do it with other people, other groups, because you realize that, you know, I try to tell people, dude, you don't have some of us don't really have an understanding of how real discrimination and racism is, and sometimes it goes down to simple things in the tech world, you know.
And I've been very vocal about that on BGS's Hangout. That it's important that black men understand, or black people, but more importantly, black men understand that if you don't have any social networks, and if you're not cultivated at a certain age to get involved in this vertical industry, and as well as these global markets, you're going to be shut out by other groups on purpose.
And that's intentional. I try to tell people that's intentional.
Yeah.
It's intentional.
You can't compete, you know, as a collective as a group of people in America, in terms of black men, especially the black community. We don't have communities in the industry like that we can rely on. You know, the Indians are ramping up in terms of information technology. They're an IT powerhouse as a nation. Russia is a growing STEM powerhouse because they major in space boosters and rocket ships, and as well as oil and natural gas and all these other vertical markets that we just don't have access to. China is ramping up big time on AI. Japan has always been a technological powerhouse. Singapore, South Korea. Now you're starting to see Estonia, Latvia, most of your Baltic states and your NATO states are ramping up on IT right now in terms of nation state development. These are areas that we cannot compete in because we are not organized politically, and we're not organized on the ground level.
Now let me ask you.
I want to add something to this that'll make you laugh. How many of y'all ever watched I think it's season 2 of Black Mirror? Have y'all ever watched that?
No, but I keep hearing about it. I think I'm gonna have to watch it.
All right. Well, Black Mirror, they had this one season. I don't know if Mike's seen it, but they had this one episode where they had this these people were running around. Basically, what they were doing, they were rating each other, rating their interactions with one another. I was reading an article today. China has one. It's called the social credit system. And it's actually in play. Imagine you have a financial credit system, but then you also have a social credit system where, based on your interactions with other people, or based on, you know, how you behave in society, you're able to purchase or not be. You can be denied purchases based on your behavior. Ain't that something?
Go ahead, Delaware.
Now, could you imagine if someone brought that to the American culture like today? Could you imagine what your credit score and my credit score probably look like?
I'm going to leave a link for that. I just found an article on futurism.com, China's social credit system, rate even value. I'm going to leave a link to that in the description so people can read exactly what you're speaking about. I want to get Dollar Will in here. I know he was about to say something. What were you about to say,
Yeah,
Dollar Will?
no. All I was just trying to get some understanding for as to why the I know our numbers in IT, especially. I mean, IT itself is broad, but let's take something specific like programming or something. Why haven't or the blacks that exist? Why haven't they linked up? Not just Black Americans, but throughout the diaspora.
Mike, you want to answer the question, or you want me to answer it?
I'll jump in and answer it.
Please answer it.
A lot of the times, there's a varying amount of factors, but one of the major factors is that when we get there, the people that are offering us these opportunities are not 9 times out of 10 they don't look like us, so you tend to not always want to link up again with the people that did not help you in the first place. And after a while, when you experience whatever discrimination or racism or whatever type of microaggressions you get in the office, you tend to fall back, and then you start figuring out, okay, I need to link up, but it's too late at that point, right? So, or sometimes it may be too late. In my experience of dealing with other African American men in these fields, they're more than happy to meet, but they are not the drivers and innovators of the very technology that they're using or that they're supporting. So
Gotcha.
they don't have a full grasp on the level of innovation that needs to go into it to actually build something for themselves.
Gotcha. So we're not at the heart of the action. We're on the periphery, working our way.
Actually, most of
you
us
have.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me just get this in. Let me just get 10 seconds. Let me just get this in. You have innovators like Dr. Lonnie Johnson. Neil deGrasse Tyson is another great guy that people should follow on Twitter and whatnot. You have those guys, but they don't get the support that they need.
Wow. Not even from blacks in the industry.
There are no blacks in the industry.
There are no blacks, you can count a black person. Like, for example, my office, one of my former offices, had 300 people in the office. The only black person that was there was myself.
Oh,
wow!
And this is in a major city that has a high concentration of black people, well over 150,000 bodies. Out of 300 people, I was the only black person there.
Yeah, I think there's an obvious barrier that it's a little bit of two things probably, and one of them I'm kind of embarrassed to admit. But let me go ahead. Let me go with the embarrassing part first. It's hard, and so on one level we have to ask: do we really want to work hard? I mean, it's okay. It's difficult, but because something is difficult doesn't mean that it's not doable, not achievable. It's within us to learn it, but things that don't come immediately, I think we kind of shy away from things that are. If it's not going to be easy to grasp, that represents risk. And we are risk averse people.
Actually, I beg to differ. I think what it is, first of all, I believe this here about black folk is that we are geniuses. I do believe that what it is that a lot of us are not exposed to anything, are not exposed to these things. Look, you can't keep in mind we're part of a if you understand anything about how social dynamics work, look what we're exposed to compared to what we're not exposed to. I mean, we're exposed to music. We're exposed to sports. We're exposed mainly to like the entertainment sectors of the society. So, what do you think we're going to be the best at? Where do you think we're going to find most of our people at? Where do you think we're going to find the most opportunities? It's going to be in those sectors.
No, I'm not saying that we aren't smart enough to do it. I'm saying I know we are, but what I'm saying is that we seem to pursue things with a high risk of success. If it's difficult, we translate or interpret that difficulty as being risky.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
So if it's risky, we don't want to invest the time and money to pursue something that we think we might fail at, because we're like always we're right on the economic margin. We either in poverty or very close to it. So we kind of try to go for fields where there's a high risk of success. You can see it when we go to pick our majors. We avoid math and science because it's difficult. Not that
You
we
know,
can't
you know
do it.
what? I see what you're saying, but here's my problem. See, me, I got a I'm dyslexic.
Mhm.
Um, I'm the type of person like I see things really three dimensional, and sometimes if I'm really under pressure, I start stuttering. um, but I want to say this here. I want you to keep this in mind. I do algebra every time I have to do something with mathematics, and I do it unconsciously. I'm not aware that I'm doing algebra. Like for example, like you're doing some type of program and you got to get some variables right. You're gonna learn how to program. You're gonna learn algebra like in a moment. You're gonna realize you're gonna find yourself using algebra in a moment, and it's not complicated. It's really not complicated at all. It looks puzzling when you're looking at it, and it becomes more puzzling when you're not using a hands-on tactic, a hands-on practice.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? But it's not
Yeah.
hard. I mean, it's really simple. There's nothing complicated about it. And then you start to realize that most of what you program in the patterns of algebra, and the algebraic pattern.
Well, I'm saying
You know?
we perceive it as difficult,
Yeah,
and
because you're
but
looking at it, but until you actually get hands on it, you
right.
realize how simple it is. It's not
Well,
complicated at all.
I will say this. I've clicked on some videos and stuff on YouTube that's like outside of my purview, that's like IT related.
Mhm.
And if I see, it's just something about if I see a brother talking about it, I don't know what it is, I'll click it. I
Okay.
Because you
think
know
a
what? It's
lot of
part
us,
of what it is too. That's another
Well,
thing
it's
too.
because it's relational. It's
Is
relational, right? So
Thank you,
right.
Mike.
and because we don't cultivate our boys at an early age, it becomes more difficult as you get older. So, for example, if you look at Silicon Valley and you look at the nerds of Silicon Valley, there's a whole documentary about this. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates,
Wozniak.
uh, no, Steve Ballmer, all of those guys were nerds from a very early age. So they're if you look at their parents' background, their fathers, their mothers, they were in high educational spaces, high educational backgrounds. And in the black community, we don't have that. So what happens is a young boy, 6, 7 years old, it's not cool to be tinkering around with little gadgets and things like that. What's cool is the swag and things like that. These cultural norms that don't really benefit us. So
Yeah.
if you look at the nerds of Silicon Valley, they were working on this stuff in their garage. Most
Yeah.
black people are not interested in that stuff at that age.
You know what
So
I think it
what
is, though, Mike?
happens? Go ahead.
I think that what it is. I think a lot of our kids are interested in it at a young age, but because there's no support behind it, it turns off. I do believe that. I really
Right.
believe that a lot of my kids, because I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all ever watched that show called what's the one now? It's about what's it called? The Shy. You ever watch The Shy? Any one of y'all?
I don't think so.
Okay, well in The Shy there's a young dude who's a little heavy set dude who's quite knowledgeable, right? He asks all the critical questions. When you realize this guy's really the nerd hanging around a bunch of other kids who are just growing up. But you start to notice, but one thing I can kind of relate to is you notice is that look at his environment. His environment is not conducive for expanding his knowledge past a certain point. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happens to a lot of us. A lot of us are not we're not our environments are not conducive for expansion. It isn't. And when you start to realize that eventually it begins, like I said, it veers off into a certain category. Like for example, you get to high school, you're not joining the tech clubs. The reason why you're not really joining the tech clubs because there's no black people, there's no other black homeboy, no your black homeboys hanging in them. They're usually going to be in
We have
basketball. They're going to be maybe some maybe in ROTC. Um, a lot of them are going to be in football. They're going to be in certain categories after a while. They're going to be in the dance classes because those things are where they're going to find the most support for their own selves. Understand, human beings. Um, on a psychological level, we only gravitate to people who remind us of ourselves. And it's not even using it as a racial standpoint. And I'm not using it in a racial understanding. I'm just saying that people they only gravitate to people who are similar to themselves. That's only
And
natural.
I think that both of you are right. I think I remember back in 19, I have to go back in ancient history, y'all.
Mhm.
In 1978, when I was in the 8th grade in Chocolate City, so everybody's black, okay? Uh, but that nerd thing, I had basic programming in the 8th grade in 1978. Okay, they were telling us way back then that computers were going to dominate the future, and they said, we're going to get you guys used to it. It was a required class; everybody had to take at least that 1 year. But the guys who stayed with it, when they got to be when they graduate, first of all, before they even graduated high school, they had summer jobs making like adult incomes.
Wow.
I'm like, when they were 16, they were buying like real cars, new cars and stuff. And they had real full-time jobs when they got like, graduated high school. And I said, then you're an idiot. You should have stayed with it. But yeah, we knew it was coming. In DC, we knew it because they put it in the public school system.
Now let me ask you all this. Mike, you routed off a few countries that are getting to the automation, but they have special niches. As far as black men, I'm not speaking about African American men, black men in general globally. What niche do you all think we can dominate?
I believe we could dominate the tech industry easily. I believe we could.
Tech industry as a whole?
The tech industry as a whole. And the reason why I say that, we understand algorithm quite well unconsciously.
Explain that, please.
What do you think music is? Algorithm.
Okay.
It's a numerical sequence. We already do that shit. We do it naturally. The only thing is that you just haven't explored any other ways of expressing it. That's all we haven't done.
Anybody else? Mike?
Yeah, I agree with Locast. I think one of the other industries that we could dominate is agriculture. A lot of these other countries are suffering from GMO because of Monsanto and whatnot. And very few countries are producing organic foods. And Africa is one of those continents that has many countries that can produce organic food or just farmland in particular to an extent that's what that's what the market wants. So we can charge a higher price because we can say it's organic.
Okay, so
here's my idea.
Go ahead.
Is that we understand there's a lot of us who live in the South areas of the country, live in the South. And there's still a lot of available land in the South. Why don't we build a tech hub somewhere in the South?
Now, in the South, where would you? I'm not
I'm
pooping.
talking about like the Carolinas, the Georgia area, stuff like that. The South.
Okay. Well, I was going to say strategically where, ideally on a strategic level, would it be?
Well, the reason I can't, I have to look at a map and have to look at some stuff before I can come up with an idea. But I would say just imagine for me, just entertain it for a moment. Understand is that any society that grows and is successful, it spirals out the same way this icon as the dollar wheel icon does. It starts from the center and it spirals outward. What I would say, what you could do is, like I say, the reason why I say that is because in the South there's a lot of farmland. You can run those type of experiments on doing automating, learning how to automate irrigation systems, learn how to automate, do robotic harvesting, things like that. You see what I'm saying? Like I was trying to point out to you is that a lot of the stuff already open source wise is already on the internet. Download it, make your own version of it, modify it, make your own version of it, and keep that within your own social circle. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what a lot of these people do. Somebody will start what they call an open project, but eventually, as it begins to become more and more potentially lucrative for people, it becomes closed and closed. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay,
But I
so
would propose. Go ahead.
we got the tech industry and agriculture.
It's all really the same.
Well,
It's really the same.
well
Okay.
he mentioned Lowcast mentioned tech hubs, and we have in the Black community what we up here in Boston what we call an innovation hub. It's called an innovation center, urban innovation center. So they took an old building and they refurbished it, renovated it for that very purpose. So there's multiple sectors in the building that they use for different tech ideas. So basically, it's a tech incubator for Black people. But the reason why you don't see these same type of innovation hubs and tech incubators in southern states like that is because they're not close enough to bigger institutions. You know, here in Boston, we have MIT and we have Harvard, the two biggest conglomerates of excellence in terms of academia in the world, right? So we're very close to other institutions that can bleed off some of the the brain power that would actually drive that. If you're in somewhere like South Carolina, there's not really much of a need for a tech hub because there's not really much of an industry down there to begin with.
Well, that's
But
the
if you
beauty
go to
of it.
North
That's the whole
Carolina,
point of it.
but if you look at somewhere like North Carolina, you have Duke, you have UNC, you have NC State, you have all these other institutions that are surrounded by it, and that's why North Carolina is a big tech hub of the South as opposed to somewhere like Atlanta.
Okay.
Well, I would also say that DC would be a good candidate for a place for that type of thing. Although I'm not, in IT, the reason why I say DC is one, you have a sizable, educated Black population, and you have the home of the federal government.
Okay.
And to your point, Dollarwell,
And the Defense Department, of course. Every agency has a department there.
and to your point, Dollarwell, we can create social equity programs that can actually take Fed dollars and actually create a tech hub inside these predominantly Black areas, because I think DC or Chocolate City is something like over 100,000 Black people in terms of population. So it'll be easy to get Fed funding for something like that.
Yeah. Point of clarity, DC is no longer Chocolate City. It is no longer majority Black. But anyway, that's recent.
What do you call it? White macadamia?
Yeah, gentrification, buddy. It's moved faster than we all thought. What happened? But anyway, yeah, these are good ideas you guys are coming up with. Now, I don't know. The question was, where could we dominate? Was that the question?
Yes.
I wouldn't say dominate, but I would like, my bailiwick is investing. I'm not really concentrating on day trading aspect of it, but if we could just, my goal is to increase our competency at, say, managing our retirement account, because it doesn't take a lot of money to reach wealth in the stock market. It takes a good deal of knowledge. It takes more knowledge than it takes money. And so I would like to see us in the generation we're in right now, increase that literacy, that competency at just some core management skill of the retirement account. And then I would like to see beyond that a cultural change, that when a baby is born, maybe by the first birthday, or maybe at the baby shower or whatever, or we create a daggone party at the first birthday, we pass the hat and people put money in the hat and try to get a couple $1,000s to put into some kind of investment for the child, so that when the child turns 18, he does not begin his adult life in poverty. That would be something that's
really good. That's actually really good, Dollarwell. And to follow up on that, I would advise that we can create something like a crypto bond, where the Fed would actually match us, dollar for dollar as what we put in. So a 30-year bond, would be given to every Black child born into poverty, at the federal poverty rate level, and then we can match that from a community standpoint.
I mean, can you imagine what that would do to our community if just as a new cultural imperative we did that? We fast forward, we'd have a bunch of young people, young early adults, let's say 25, they got out of college, or they didn't go to college but they got some life experience, and now they all have a six-figure amount. We got a couple dozen with a like $100,000 each. Man, that's a lot of power in the hands of, you take a dozen, they got $1 million. Now they can really do something.
Well, I think the first thing a lot of us has done, and this is just an opinion of mine. I think that the reason why we fall behind is because of how we basically. I believe that the system that we live in is not rigged for us to win.
Of
And I
course.
think I think the part of what it is that we have to learn how to break away from it and look at it from a standpoint of survival. And I believe that from that point, eventually we will automatically begin to thrive. Um, like I said, I think the most important thing of us to do is to actually work and play is to actually find locations that are I would say find basically more working area, provide a system or put a place some put a I would say have a tech hub in a predominantly black city
Neighborhood.
or
Okay.
predominantly black region. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you're able to get more support that way. You get what I'm saying? And the thing about it is what can you provide for them? Keep in mind, people are going to have to eat, so you provide, like for example, growing healthy fruits and vegetables. I mean, you can do that now. You could do that stuff in a warehouse if you know what you're doing. For example, we got people now in Colorado. What they're doing, they're growing weed indoors. You mean to
Mm-mm.
tell me we can flip that around and grow and do hydroponics for fruits and vegetables? I think we should. I think that for everything that we see other people doing, we should be on the same tip too. Because, like I said, in the future, you're gonna have to be able to feed people. You're gonna have to help people survive. Because, like I said, this automation thing, there will be less people on the planet over time because people naturally will just have less children because of this. But let's talk about the transition area. Think about and like personally, when it comes down to us as black folk, I'm more concerned about us as a species still being on the planet. Not saying that we're all going to leave, but I'm just saying when I look at African Americans specifically, we are a very specific species of African. You get what I'm saying? And our
Hmm.
numbers are not that large compared to other nations. We're not, but we're a very unique species, and I would like for us to maintain that species. And the only way we're going to have to do that is learn to have to be responsible about our own survival. And part of that is learn how to feed yourselves, learn how to clothe yourselves. And we got the technology now. From this point, you just need to learn the technology, programmed to do what you needed to do for yourself. But like I said, I do believe that eventually money and resources, stuff like that, would naturally come over time because people are going to need things from you. If they see
Yeah.
that you got it, they're gonna come to get it from you.
Yeah,
Now, to
well,
go ahead,
I
Doctor Joe.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be divisive, but I think these are great ideas we're talking. But whether we are unique culture, um, that that the future will determine how unique we are or choose to be. I'm a Pan Africanist, okay, so we might, I hope, I pray we come to the wisdom on the planet and understand that
The
that we
reason
need
why
to
I say
that
a
that we
unique
that we need
species,
to set forth without as to the extent that our survival is in question, we can better survive together than apart. But we don't even that's it's not even important that we even agree on that right now, because the stuff
okay.
that you're talking about doing just makes sense. And whether we're going to stay distinct from one another or come together, wherever we are, we all need to be learning this stuff all over the planet. We're talking on YouTube, so other black folks on the planet involved in the same struggle, these solutions appeal to them too.
I,
So
I totally agree with you. The reason why I said species, understand this, is that we have just like any other animal that's out there. We like just like any other bird or type of bird, it came from one type of bird, but then eventually had ended up growing and sprouting its own type of surviving his own having his own survival history. That's what I mean by our very unique species. We are a very unique DNA culmination compared to any other Africans. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking
Well,
about, maintaining that, and I think we have that right to do so.
yeah. I think the more educated or free minded we become, here's the here Big Brother's not going to like me for saying this. The channel might get shut down. The more free minded we become, the less American we're likely to be.
Now,
See, now that's
uh,
my personal view.
I got
If
you.
I'm talking about my survival as a black person on planet Earth that's hostile towards me, I do not see, or my goal is to get to a resource position where I can choose to be American or not. If you're poor, you have no choice but to be. But as I get resources, I like to be able to have America lobby for me, or I'll leave.
I would
Well, let
like
me say
to.
this. Go ahead.
I would like to wrap this up. So I would like to everyone to say their final word.
All right. Well, I want to say, hey, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and I hope to be on your
Hmm.
future broadcasts.
Great show.
Mike.
Yeah, my final word would be I think that black people, more importantly, black men, should start getting in to STEM um, on a deeper level. If you could start at the community college level or a trade school level, that would help. Be very beneficial. How I got started in the tech industry was through trade school. I went to school for computer electronics and wanted to do computer engineering. The problem is that most institutions have separate tracks, which are computer engineering is separate from information technology. So I transferred my credits to a higher institution and majored into information technology, information security, and that's how I got into the industry that I'm in right now. I've always been into technology as a child. In terms of dealing with computers, dealing with DOS, MS-DOS 3.0, Windows 95, Windows 98. I was always involved in that stuff. So it was just a matter of transition. And if you can get yourself into a program early, there are 18-week programs online, even on the ground level as well. If you can get into some of these tech circles, shake hands, networking, FaceTime matters, handshakes matters, to get yourself elevated into the industry.
All right. I would like to say to wrap the show up. This show has been about automation. In the future, obviously, this show will, I believe, organically steer toward to the Black/African view of the subjects we will speak about. Anyone listen to the show in the future, do not be afraid to shine in the fields that are not normally populated by black people. You don't have to be a basketball player. You don't have to entertain. You can actually go into the tech industry, go into industries that there are no black people popularly in, and not be afraid. This channel is to excuse me, this channel is here to get you to understand and to show you that there are black people out there that are in these industries that do talk about these subjects, that are highly invested and highly interested in these subjects. So listen to this, keep listening to it. We will have more shows. Mondays is automation, Tuesdays is geopolitics, and Fridays is economics. And with that said, thank you for watching the YouTube channel. I appreciate all the guests on the channel for coming out. Thank you for coming out and to showing everyone that we are here. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow, Wednesday, geopolitics.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Later.
Peace.